a few more thoughts on Nebraska and Wisconsin with new coaches.
Hey, big news in the West. Nebraska has a head coach, as had been rumored here over the last couple days. Matt Rhule has accepted the job in Lincoln. Fantastic turnaround jobs at Temple and Baylor.
Okay, so Matt Rhule is taking the job at Nebraska, and Luke Fickell is moving from Cincinnati and going to Wisconsin. And now all of a sudden, those two programs have got to feel really good about their new trajectory. Matt Rhule is one hell of a college football coach. I know I threw in college there. Granted, listen, in the NFL, if you don't have a quarterback, you're just not going to win. So it's a bit more of a crapshoot. Whereas in college football, you can control it because you can recruit those players and get them there. And Matt Rhule did a great job at Temple, and he did a great job at Baylor. Remember the absolute dumpster fire that he walked into at Baylor right after the Art Briles era, and he got them back to the point where they're an 11-win team. So this guy can coach at this level, and I think Nebraska should be really happy about what he potentially brings to them. Luke Fickell. There's not a coach that was having much more success than Luke Fickell over the last 3 or 4, 5 years really in college football, other than the real top dogs, right? And so Luke Fickell now goes to Wisconsin. That feels like a good fit for me. I am interested that they didn't give that job to Jim Leonhard. I don't see him staying on that staff, so that'll be interesting. Does Jim Leonhard go to the NFL? I know a lot of people in NFL circles have been dying to try to get him into the NFL for a number of years as a defensive coordinator. Well thought of, obviously, in those circles. So I'm interested to see where he actually lands. Last thought on this now is, well, really two more thoughts. The Big Ten now, their bench of coaches is starting to get deeper and deeper and deeper. And here's what you saw, and it relates to these top two programs in the conference that we've been talking about all day, because look what's happened in the SEC to Alabama. Nick Saban was the cream of the crop, and then everybody just started upgrading and upgrading and upgrading in terms of level of coach. Kirby Smart at Georgia, Brian Kelly at LSU. Like, there's a lot of really good coaches in the SEC, and what has happened is now there's a lot more great teams. So now in the Big Ten, you're starting to see that. You've got really good coaches all over, and I think that the bench is starting to get really deep in the Big Ten, and I'm interested to see how that will affect the level of dominance that Michigan and Ohio State have over the conference, because that's clearly been a dominant run that those two programs have had over the last few years, and right now Michigan vying for their second straight Big Ten title on Saturday against Purdue. Last thing I would say is that I do think that Luke Fickell jumps from Cincinnati to Wisconsin, and I think that he probably could have gotten any job last year, and he was kind of turning them down, and now all of a sudden I feel like coaches around the country are viewing jobs differently with the proposed expansion of the playoff looming, and that is a big deal, and I think it's a really good development in college football, because now, rather than waiting for like that specific job where you think you can win at the very highest level in this 4-team playoff, I think the number of programs that people think that they can succeed at, get into the playoff, and maybe compete with is expanding. So as the playoff expands, I do think that the number of jobs that coaches will go and take is going to expand, and I think that that's a good thing for the sport, and I think this is evidence of that. Matt Rhule to Nebraska, Luke Fickell to Wisconsin. Those two programs should feel really good about those two hires, because I think both of them are really good football coaches.